Hey, everybody, welcome to our weekly Zoom call, our Thriving Lives podcast. There we go. Lost my words again, like I did a few weeks ago. Tonight's topic, we are going to be talking about what to do when you're sick in terms of training, nutrition, lifestyle, how to live, and then how do we bounce back after having been sick, and also not digging us a deeper hole, which I see a lot of people doing. They're trying to push through with training or with dieting or whatever, and sometimes that makes them a little bit more sick than they were to begin with. So that's gonna be the topic that we're diving into tonight. But real quick before we dive into that, Renee, how's your last week been?
It's been good. I am getting back on track and enjoying it. Tonight I taught a Pilates class to one of my dental offices. That was a blast. Just kind of brought like the fun back to Pilates for me, which has been good.
It's awesome.
Because it's been stressful more than anything for the last couple weeks. So to kind of, I feel like anytime you're in like a stressful environment, when you can merge those worlds together of like fun and
Mm,
remember like why you started and why it's enjoyable, I feel like
yeah.
that's always like a good little like perfect timing. Um, so that was super fun. And then yeah, I've been back on my nutrition, back on my workouts. I intentionally put a leg day on Monday, knowing that I had this Pilates class tonight and wouldn't be able to fit the gym in between Pilates and my Zoom call. And then I'll have three lifting days to fit in Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Um, I did a little like it's called stretch and balance, but it's just like a mellow Pilates class that I did last night, all about stretching. And that was really good for me too. Again, just kind of like shut down and relax.
Yeah.
So if you were here last week, I talked about how I've just been, I think I talked about it, how I've
And
been
I
really
know you and I did. I know you were feeling very burned
okay.
on just everything.
Yeah. So last week, well, last Wednesday, I think I was kind of at the brink of it. And then last Thursday and Friday, I absolutely just like lost, lost it all. Mental breakdown, cries, just everything, just being overwhelmed and kind of realized I was doing way too much. And so when that happens, I think I caught it pretty early. Um, but when that happens, I think it's important for you to then make those changes like immediately. It's not something where you realize it and you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna like, well, at least for me, I'm not gonna stay in this rut. It was more so, okay, I've been binge eating, I've been not focusing on sleep. My workouts have not been ideal. They're still more than most people, but not my standards. And so it was something where I just kind of had to reevaluate and shop better at the grocery store, be more mindful and things like that.
Yeah.
Um, and I feel much better. Sleep has been better, the exception of last night, which we talked about. Sometimes sleep is just hard when I have to get up at 5 a.m. Um, but yeah, focusing more on nutrition, not binge eating, and yeah, so I feel like just doing
Refreshing.
better.
Yeah.
Um,
Sounds like you had a good reset.
a
Sometimes,
good little a good
sometimes,
little baby
yeah.
reset. It's not that my stress still isn't gone. It's not like I just freed up 20 hours of my
Yes.
week. I still have that same workload. However, I think I just reevaluated my mindset and I had therapy on Friday. So again, that was just a good little reset and time to accept what had happened instead of sit there and like shame myself. Like, of course, there's some shame that's involved in it. But just kind of moving forward instead of being stuck in that cycle for longer than a month, because that's where most people I think get stuck.
Yeah.
Um, it's when they realize it, but they're not quite ready to change. Whereas I'm eager to hop back into my habits once I realize I've kind of gone off the deep end. Not deep end, but
Well, yeah.
my deep end
For
is
deep.
very different than most people's idea of a deep end.
Well,
Um,
I think what's allowed you to do that as well, though, is you're in therapy. Me and you discuss it a lot as well. We kind of have
yeah,
our own little weekly check-ins, and you're able
yes.
to get out of your own head and kind of get it out there. Again, the importance of check-ins. Just starting off tonight with that.
Well,
Uh,
I will say really quick. So since mid to end, I would say since end of June, my life has just been crazy.
yeah.
But before that, I was very strict on my cut. And so I was checking in my progress photos and my weight weekly. And so that was a big indicator of like, here I am. This is my progress. I'm doing this. I'm doing this cut, and then I went on vacation for 2 weeks, and then I came home and had social event after social event after social event. All my jobs picked up in their busyness, and so I wasn't checking in. I wasn't checking the scale. And I was just indulging more in like eating out and drinking and things like that. So I wasn't checking in with anybody. And then when it got to the point where last weekend, like I feel like I noticed like the weight creeping up a little bit. But I kind of was just so stressed that wasn't even on my mind. And so it truly just goes to show like when you check in with someone and when you're accountable, that's when you notice it. Like when I stepped in the scale, I think it was Sunday morning or Monday morning, I was like, okay, this is not good.
Yeah.
I've gained 6 pounds back, which it'll come off. I'm not worried about it. And I think there's a time and a place for everything. Like my life had to happen the way it did, and I had to get 6 pounds to get to where I'm at right now. But truly, if you don't check in, you don't have that person helping hold you accountable. And I'm very disciplined, and so having that extra person to help hold you accountable truly just makes a world of a difference.
Definitely.
So it's very powerful. Yeah. So yeah, Marcus and I talked a lot about it, and then kind of just went on from there. But
well, good.
Yeah.
Again,
so always check in. It really does work.
It does work. It does work.
It's almost
like it's part of our pillars and what we always talk about.
For some reason, yeah. I mean, we incorporate we do it for a reason.
There you go. Real quick. So what, last week, one of the things or a couple of the things that Renee and I also offers additional services. Yes, of course, in-person training. I've actually been going to some new clients of mine, their house on Friday mornings to do, or not just Friday mornings, but other mornings as well, to do in-person training at their house. So that's one thing that we offer, or at Body Shop for myself, or Renee will come to you and train as well, as long as that obviously works with all of our schedules. We also offer the grocery runs, which I know Renee just did one a couple weeks ago. I've now done 3 of them. Eric and I, who's actually on call tonight, we did one a while back, and then so one of my clients, that I've had this summer, he is a college student. He's actually going back to K-State on Friday actually, and so last week we did a grocery run, and then we went straight back to his house, and I taught him how to meal prep, how to do things efficiently. We use the air fryer, we use the stove top, we use the oven, all the stuff. Again, he's a college kid. He's never really had to cook for himself. And this year he's going to be living with some buddies, but not in like a dorm or anything like that. And so he's going to be having to do a lot of his own cooking. And he wants to put on size and muscle. And so we spent a lot of time in the gym this summer. And then obviously now really cultivating better habits in the kitchen. And again, taught him how to do things efficiently. So that's another service that we also provide as well. And it was a blast. I get to put on my teaching hat, just like from when I was an actual elementary school PE teacher. And again, just educate on the things that I feel like I'm pretty damn good at, which is grocery shopping and meal prepping and working out. So that was a lot of fun. And then last night, another service that I provide as well. This is outside of Thriving Lives. I call it Thriving Events. I also do kids' birthday parties. These are mainly my former students up in Liberty Public Schools, but I've done a couple of those over the summertime, including last night. And it's a blast. I essentially just teach a PE class for about 90 to 120 minutes or so, and the kids love it. I love it. I get to be a little PE teacher at nighttime, so it was a blast. I really enjoy that. So if you guys have kids, especially elementary age, I would love to come and be the birthday party entertainment for the night. And it's also nice for parents and whatnot, because you can just sit back and chill, and I'm running it, whether it is 4 and 5-year-olds up to 12-year-olds. And I can handle whatever kind of mix with that. So another thing I also offer as well.
I thought you were going to say lab work.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, definitely lab work. And I would say that because that's not necessarily, I mean, that is part of what we do as well, but I used to have it as like an add-on service. Now it's just because I need it from so many different people. Because we get stuck with different things, but it's no longer an add-on service, just included in what we do. But yeah, so lab work as well. Which
you went over that for me last week.
Yep.
So my supplements are in the mail on the way.
Exactly. There you go. Good. I'm happy you got that stuff coming in one of the goals too. And this is part of Renee's personal growth as well, is learning how to read those lab works as well, so that she can then help more and more clients as well with that stuff. But anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. We have a lot of sick people within Thriving Lives, people with COVID, people with sinus infections, people with just whatever they got going on. And Some people just totally check out for that amount of time. Totally get it, especially if you're really sick. And other people really beat themselves up for not getting to the gym or eating well, and they're not giving themselves grace. Again, this is where I feel like so many people don't know when to give themselves grace versus when they're making excuses, right? I feel like a lot of people they do they
I feel like you're one side of the scale or one end of the spectrum.
I feel like people do the opposite of what they really should do is when they're sick, they're not giving themselves really any grace. And like, I ate like an asshole. I didn't work out this week, whatever. I'm like, well, you were sick or your kid was sick or whatever. I'm like, this is a situation where you give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
But then you make an excuse when it comes to why you ate out 3 times this week. It's like you could have controlled that because those are just social occasions. You could have planned better. You could have ate before you went out. You could have brought better. You could have made better choice whenever you're out. So there, you're giving yourself grace, even though you actually had control over that. Whereas you're not giving yourself grace when you or your family was sick or whatever it was that happened. And so this is one of the situations where sometimes we kind of got to talk through that. So first and foremost, whenever we're sick, now if it's just a little sore throat, a little cough or something like that, you can push through that. You're probably going to be totally fine. If you got a headache, you can still work out that day, right? Obviously, think about why you have the headache. Is it allergies? Is it lack of water? Obviously, get your water intake up. Try to be ahead of that stuff. But when we're actually sick, when you actually have COVID, when you actually have sinus infection, when you actually have a really bad cold or a stomach bug or something like that, your body needs rest so it can actually do its job and to help you recover. So your immune system can do its job. Training, working out, let's kind of start with that, is a stress on the body. So if your body's already stressed and trying to fight off illness, if you then go pound away in the gym, you're now adding more stress that's compounding that stress on your body. And your immune system is already doing its best to try to catch up and rebuild your body. And now you're making it worse. Now you're going to make it harder. So you're going to take what could have been just maybe a day or two not feeling too good. And now you might have just exacerbated it to now make it 3, 4, 5 days or a week or whatever that looks like. So this is when you got to know, am I just a little bit sick or am I actually sick? And do I need to actually give myself rest? And if you don't know, obviously ask Renee and I, we can kind of guide you in that direction as well. But I'd always err on the side of give your body rest so it can actually recover. And this is talking about the training side of things. If you must,
How long does that cycle go on for? Like,
do what?
how long does that cycle go on for? Like, are you actually sick? Like, or are you just tired for 5 mornings in a row because you didn't prioritize your sleep? So that's truly, you can ask Marcus and I, but a lot of it comes down to listening to your body. And you should have a pretty good idea of whether you're sick, and maybe not the first day, but the second day or whatever. You should know by then, like, okay, yeah, I actually am coming down to something. And again, that just comes with time of like learning your body, learning your temperature, learning your cues and things like that.
And this allows you to work smarter, not harder. This is something where I think a lot of people have to break it, especially if you're an ex-athlete, like you grew up playing sports all your life. It was always, no pain, no gain, unless you're injured, then you're able to play through something. Even if you are injured, sometimes we still get pushed to play through that pain. And that's not where we're at in life, right? We are trying to listen to our body, to respond better to our body, and just to be healthy in whatever it is that we're trying to do. And so when it comes to, especially as we get older with it, we have to work smarter and not harder. And forcing yourself to go do these workouts, your body's not able to recover already because you're sick. Now it's really not going to be able to recover because of that. So if you feel like you absolutely have to do something from a fitness standpoint and exercise just for your own mental sanity or whatever, then go on a walk. If you have to go to the gym, I mean, honestly, that's kind of irresponsible and a little bit inconsiderate for you to do that if you actually are sick, because now you're out there spreading germs and potentially getting other people sick as well. But if you must, and maybe you're not contagious, whatever, maybe you're going to wear a mask at the gym. I don't know what your plan is with that. But if you do have to go to the gym and you have to lift some weights, you're not taking anything until failure. If you absolutely have to do this, you're going to go just get an easy pump. Your workout's going to be easy. You're not trying to build muscle or lose fat during that week. You're at this point just kind of trying to give yourself a little bit of that leniency and get some movement going, where a little bit is not gonna wreck you, right? But I would usually say, hey, just go on a walk and leave it at that. And again, if you have to pick up some weights, then just make it very simple. No super, compound movements, no supersets. No, again, we're not trying to build muscle or lose fat while we're sick. We're just trying to get through and let our body recover. So that's the training side of things. Now, nutrition wise, again, this is dependent upon what kind of sick are you? Do you have the stomach flu and you can't keep anything down? Do you just have a cold? Do you have COVID? If you have COVID, did you lose your sense of taste and smell? That's obviously going to make food maybe not as appetizing. But if you can't taste and smell anyway, then I would say let's lean towards the foods that your body actually needs versus just whatever the comfort foods are, because you can't taste the shit anyway. So when it comes down to what we should be doing nutrition wise, if you can, you should still be trying to eat, and you should be trying to eat whole foods. You should be trying to eat the meals that are on your plan, and if those just aren't
Well, because
appetizing,
these
that's
are
fine.
nutrient dense foods that are meant to fuel your body and health, but also these micronutrients are doing more things for your body and your immune system
Yep.
than you're aware of. And so kicking your body while it's already down by feeding it
Junk.
poor food and junk is, again, you're just kicking yourself while you're down. So if you're eating junk food,
Mm-hmm.
but yet you're also forcing yourself at the gym, that's two negatives on top of being sick. And so you're just lowering that bar as opposed
Yep.
to, okay, maybe I can do, if I'm sick and I'm feeling okay, maybe I can do a light walk instead of lifting weights. And maybe I can eat healthier instead of eating the sugary packed or whatever food that I thought I was going to eat because it sounded good.
And
Um,
and that's that comfort food, right? Because we all grew up, and it's like whenever you don't feel good, it's you want to eat
I
something tasty
toast
that's
cinnamon
comforting.
sugar.
Do what?
If we were sick growing up, it was toast with cinnamon sugar.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cinnamon toast is delicious. I mean,
Yeah.
sick or
Yeah.
not, that's always amazing. And yeah, but again, though, you're still doing something where it's just it's immediately gratifying. And again, like I'm not gonna eat perfect if I'm sick. Like if I'm not
No,
feeling
oh
good,
no, we don't
I'm not.
expect.
Yes, yes. We're not saying you have to be dialed into your meal plan all the way through, but you should still be prioritizing at least a couple meals a day that are still nutrient dense. For me, it's going to be, a blended protein shake with some spinach in it, fruits in it, that type of stuff. Like I'm still trying to get in my normal, especially fruits and veggies, because those are going to have the micronutrients that are going to really help your immune system and everything else. Uh,
Something to be a positive when your body's in a negative state.
Exactly. Exactly. And so we want to think about what's going to fuel us to feel our best. And also just not eating. Now, again, depending on the severity of your sickness and what kind of sickness you have, you might not be able to keep any food down. And then at that point, hey, whatever you can eat and keep it down is whatever you can eat and keep it down. Don't worry about what it is, just get it down. Again, if you can still get fruits and veggies and that type of stuff, do it. But again, at that point, I'd rather you get some food and some calories in than absolutely none. But this is again where think about what can you actually sustainably do at that point, or feasibly do at that point as well. Still take your supplements. And actually, I kind of want to talk about that as well in terms of some supplements that really these are on a lot of people's plans anyway. And I have a little list here that I put together before this call of different supplements that you probably already have on hand. But if not, this is something that, hey, just run into CVS real quick and go pick these up, or order on Amazon, and it'll come later on tonight. But vitamin C, easy one. Now, obviously, getting clementines, that type of stuff would be an easy way to get vitamin C as well. But vitamin C, about you probably do about 4 or 5 thousand milligrams of it. Do not take that much vitamin C at once; it'll lead to diarrhea. You want to spread that out over the course of your day, so over 2 or 3 meals do a couple thousand milligrams of vitamin C. You can also do vitamin D as well. Usually vitamin D with K2 is the best. But either way, vitamin D is crucial for your immune system as well. Zinc, another one that you should be taking. Curcumin or turmeric, that has anti-inflammatory properties which will again help you feel a little bit better with it. That's not usually one that a lot of people have readily available on hand. Omega 3s, which would be like your fish oils and stuff like that. Those are all going to be good for you as well. And again, a lot of those are either on your plan or they're going to be in your multivitamin. I have a lot of people on Metapure. I take Metapure daily. That is my substitute for my multivitamin as well. And it serves as a protein serving as well. So those types of things are always going to have your micronutrients in it. So just make sure you get that stuff in whenever you're sick. And then I had heard at one point, I haven't actually looked into it, grapeseed oil extract, I think is what it's called.
I don't know much about it.
I don't either, but I remember like a mom once told Nicole to do that from Amelia's that was like, hey, this will help you feel better. We have it on hand. I don't know if how well it actually works. I haven't actually looked into that one, but that's one that, hey, but that one might work as well. And I'm sure that everybody else has, heard their things that might help as well. Another one that I've heard about growing up as well is like elderberry. Again, most people don't just have that on hand, but those are things that's one of the perks about Amazon is if you need something, get right on there and take that as well. I would also prioritize, obviously, water. I mean, that should go without saying, but always, 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 that's one of the first things I tell people is when they're sick, regardless what kind of sick they are, is make sure you prioritize rest and recovery, make sure you prioritize hydration, and then obviously the food side of things, the supplement side of things. But also electrolytes are a good thing for you to take as well. So like we always have Propels on hand, but you know, there's like Element packets, there's liquid IVs or whatever it's called. Those types of things are good to have on hand. You could do like the emergency. I've heard some negatives about what's in there as well. But
Yeah, one of my coworkers took that and she was like, it just did absolutely nothing. If anything, she's like, I got worse.
and
So
that probably wasn't because of the vitamin C. She was
right,
she
right,
was
right,
going to
right.
get worse anyway. But for some reason, now that I mention emergency as one of those things you could take whenever you're sick, for some reason I feel like I heard something not too long ago about some negatives with that. But hey, there's negatives with everything. But still, you know, vitamin C, vitamin D are some easy ones that again you should probably have on hand always anyway. And for your kids as well, you know, to be able to give to them. Obviously, you're going to give them less than what you would possibly take as well. And if you have to, you know, then lean on your, you know, Sudafeds or your, you know, NyQuil and that type of stuff. Now, there's a lot of drawbacks to those as well, but again, I'd rather you get some sleep and some rest. And if that means you got to take that stuff, then take that stuff to get it. You know, still make sure you're doing the holistic things as well. But those are some things you can do from a nutritional standpoint. To be okay. And again, like Renee and I said, this does not mean that we would ever expect you, if you're sick, to just be absolutely nails and dialed in
No, not at
on your
all.
meal plan. We get it. Like when you're sick, we all have our comfort foods. I'm just saying find balance with that. Still have a couple meals that are for fuel, and have a couple meals that are also just for your comfort while you're sick and just trying to feel a little better in the moment as well and kind of get through it. Renee, anything else that you would add while you're sick, nutrition wise or supplement wise?
Mm, sleep. Honestly, I feel like
Yep.
that's the most underrated supplement.
I was going to say, yeah, that was going to be the next thing that I was going to say
Yeah.
is
So
the importance of sleep, which is usually pretty easy whenever you're sick because you already feel like shit. So all you want to do is sleep. And so you're probably going to get a ton of it.
to an
But
extent, yeah, I think a lot of times though you get in a rut of like lounging around when you're sick versus like actually sleeping.
yeah,
And your sleep cycle, I feel like it just depends on how sick you are, but
yeah,
sometimes you feel like you're prioritizing that sleep, and sometimes it's like you can't sleep overnight. I think the biggest thing is just not when you're sick is not fighting something that's already fighting you. Like don't resist against it. The more you resist against trying not to get sick, the more your body's going to get sick. And so if you were instead of pushing yourself all day just to get one through one day, take that day, take that rest day, and then you'll be better off going forward as opposed to you continually like a lot of those negatives. You're not going to get a positive to get better.
yep,
So you have to just allow that rest to enter your body as hard as it is for most people. For some people, again, some people they want to only rest and they love being sick, not love being sick, but like it's an excuse for them.
yes,
But if you are truly getting sick, you can't just sit there and fight it. You have to let it take its course and kind of go from there.
yeah,
And the grand scheme of thing, I think Marcus posted and touched on this the other day, which I thought was really good. Which it resonated with me. If you eat 90 unhealthy meals and then eat 10 healthy meals, that does not make you healthy. If you eat 90 healthy meals and eat 10 unhealthy meals, it doesn't make you unhealthy. And so I don't remember where I was going with that. But like if
you
okay, that's what I was going. But if
you
you're
are
sick,
what you consistently do. Is
but
it?
if you're sick, those 10 days out of those 90 days of being sick is not going to revolt you back into square one.
Yes. Yeah.
So allow those 10 days of inconsistency, of off routine to be able to get back to your baseline of healthy. Yeah. I mean, we could go on many different routes of how that quote is a good quote, but to
Yeah.
relate it back to sickness is what I just said.
That's a good point. Some other things to kind of keep in mind as well while you're sick, especially if you're stepping on the scale and stuff like that. Some people they're going to lose a lot of weight when they're sick. Some people they're going to retain a lot of weight and they're going to actually increase weight, right? Even if you feel like I barely even ate the entire time I'm sick, again, your body's inflamed. It's retaining every ounce of water in its body as possible. Maybe you're not having healthy bowel movements, stuff like that. So maybe you're constipated. So it could go both ways. And again, there's nuances in this, right? So the type of illness that you have could be affecting that as well. Whereas if you had the stomach flu and you're just puking and having diarrhea every single day, you're probably going to lose some weight during that time. But otherwise, again, if the scale does happen to go up or if it goes down, doesn't matter either way. Let's get back to baseline, like Renee just said, and so that kind of gets us into what to do when you're done being sick. Once you're feeling a little bit better, is what do you do? What are the steps you take? And so really, all the same things we just talked about still apply, right? But now you can ramp up a little bit, ramp up your nutrition more. So if you were used to 50% of your meals, or maybe just 1 or 2 meals a day were healthy, conscious, the first thing you need to do is get back into that full meal plan as best you can, getting all your calories in, especially cleaner foods and stuff of that nature. You like Renee said, out of the last 100 days, the last 10 days have been off because you've been really sick. So the last thing you want to do is let that snowball continue happening, let bad habits take over and continue building, negative momentum with that. And you want to stop that in its tracks. You want to get back on track, especially prioritizing nutrition first. Coming back to the gym side of things, kind of the same thing with the gym. You want to, your first 3 days after being sick are not going to be days that you need to be worried about losing fat or building muscle. Those are days where get back in, give your body some love and attention, get back to moving. You're probably going to feel a little bit stiff. You might be a little bit sore. You might still not be recovering super well. So yeah, get back in the gym and start regaining that habit and that momentum again. But again, you're not the goal when you're sick, and the goal when you're just getting over being sick is not to build muscle. It's not to lose fat. It's just to get back to that baseline, get back to feeling good again. And then once you've had a good couple of days of feeling back to 100%, then hey, we can get back to pushing it. Once you have a few days of getting your food back in your system and making sure sleep is back on point, then you can get back to pushing it in the gym or whatever that looks like in your life as well.
I
But
think
again, sleep.
um to piggyback on that too, I know sometimes that I get in the habit of like every time I go to the gym, I'm like, okay, I need to be building muscle. I need to do all this. Whereas sometimes it's definitely okay to just live in that maintenance phase and to remember like why weightlifting feels good to your body.
Yep.
And so not every workout you do has to be perfect. Not every day has to be exactly on your calories. It's
Yep.
all going to be dependent upon your goals and where you're at.
Yep.
And so if you're in that phase of life of like, oh, I need to be better every single day, just know that it's okay for some days to just enjoy the maintenance of where you're at.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can be really hard on yourself. So in sickness, especially, remember why you're doing this. Like you're not constantly going to the gym just to build muscle.
Yeah.
There should be a deep down inner goal of building longevity in your life as well. And so when you're not building muscle, you're still building longevity. So you're still hitting goals and milestones.
And you're still maintaining habits, and you're still cultivating the lifestyle that you want to have. You don't always have to be moving in one specific direction really fast and really intensely and really focused with it. Just you can just enjoy it in the moment as well, wherever that is for you. Another thing as well, some people will be like, I've been sick, I'm wasting my time with you and whatnot. It's like, yeah, you're with us for a minimum of 6 months, but some people are gonna be with us for 6 years. And a natural reality of life, regardless whether it's over a 6 month period of time or a 6 year period of time, is you're gonna have times where you're sick. You're gonna have times where your family is sick. You're gonna have times where you have to take care of others. You're gonna have times where you got to take care of your car, your house, or your sick pet, or whatever that looks like. And that's literally all part of this, right? That's again why we're not signing you up for some 8 week intense challenge that you need to be perfect with to execute how you need to. Is we're taking you with where you're at in life, and there's going to be ebbs and flows to that. And one of the things I see a lot, and it almost seems like the world is doing this on purpose, when somebody finally makes a decision, they're going to start working with me or Renee and join Thriving Lives, and they finally make this decision that I'm going to start taking better care of myself. Sometimes it feels like the world is just like, how bad do you really want it? I'm going to throw a lot of shit at you and just see how resilient you are and see how bad you actually want to make these changes. And so that's when your car breaks down. That's when you have a foundation issue and you got flooding in your basement, which I've had some people that have had that happen to them multiple times since starting. Some people it's they get sick. Some people it's they lose their job. Some people it's they are going through divorce, they get broken up with, or whatever that looks like, or they break up with somebody else, or they're moving. And so these are all real life situations that it's a good thing that you're with us while that's actually happening. So then you can learn not just the most optimal times, but you're learning in the worst of times too. You're learning how the hell do I tread water and not completely lose sight of everything I've ever done? Because most people that are with us now, that has been the trend of your entire life is you have been consistent and for a week or for a month or for a couple months, maybe even for a few years, and then something happens in life where it really challenges you. And the first thing to go for most people is their nutrition or their workouts. And that might be because they haven't fallen in love with the gym yet. They haven't fallen in love with feeling good and their systems when it comes to nutrition and shit of that nature. And so you fall back into this kind of negative spot. And so I not that I want bad things to happen, but if they're going to happen, I'd much rather be with you as they're happening so we can learn how to navigate that together. So you can still be reflecting and getting that stuff out there. Like Renee's the past couple of months, she's been, not overly stressed, but just more stressed, right? And so it's good that
I would say overly stressed.
maybe overly stressed at different times, but so it's good that I'm with you at this point that we can sit here
Yes.
and have that conversation versus you just struggling in silence. And again, when it comes to like our health journeys, some of you don't have support at home. Some of you have very non-supportive spouses or significant others or family members or parents or coworkers or whatever that make it that bring you down, whether it's consciously or subconsciously with it, and intentionally or unintentionally. And so I'd rather be here with you and be that support during that time, somebody that you can bounce ideas off of, bounce your struggles off of, maybe just brain dump, right? Maybe you just got some shit on your chest you got to lay out there. And so being sick is one of those things. Being sick is one of those natural occurrences that will happen to all of us at different times. And you don't have to beat yourself up for it, but let's be intelligent about, are we going to make this worse? Are you going to get,
Yeah, also,
yeah.
not letting it spiral too is like, oh, like I was sick, so I'll just get back to it next week, or I'll just get back to it. Like, well, I already messed up the entire program because I just started and now I'm sick.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, it
Yeah.
truly is. I think a lot of times, like, what you have to understand is Marcus and I are going to meet you where you are on your goals. We're going to push you a little bit further than that based on what you've told us about your goals. But we're never going to be disappointed in you if you're sick. Like, it's just, that's not how it works.
I have
What
a
happens though is if you are sick and you decide for 2 weeks after that that you're going to continually take it slow now because you were sick 2 weeks ago. That's not how, like, if you were sick 2 weeks ago, now you actually took that allotted rest time that we are recommending, then get back into it next week. Your body is feeling better and you can't get back into it. Your mind is tricking you by thinking a body at rest stays at rest. So getting back into it is what's going to be where you do have to push yourself a little bit.
Yeah.
But
and you probably have to force it, right? Because
yeah.
Now you're out of the rhythm and the routine of doing it. So
Yeah,
you have to
100%.
force it to
I've
get
had to
back
force
to it.
myself to the gym the last couple weeks. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I love the gym. I love weightlifting.
Yeah.
But the more I sit here and relax, or I wouldn't even say relax.
Easier to keep doing that. Yeah.
Or whatever. It's easy to keep telling myself like, I don't need to go to the gym because I need to be working right now. And so again, if I were to be checking in with Marcus every single week, I guarantee I wouldn't have fallen off like I just did. Yeah.
Yeah. Real quick, we've been talking about being sick. Injuries kind of require a lot of the same approach. You need to rest, you need to be recovered, you need to really, that's when nutrition is even more paramount than ever. Because now you can't exercise maybe like you had been prior. And so let's control things with the diet. And what I've seen a lot, and I'm sure you guys have seen as well, is when somebody gets injured, then they have this fuck up mentality where like, I can't work out, so I'm just going to do whatever. I'm going to lean into this comfort food until I feel better again. And again, now you're not treading water. You're just losing all sense of control and positive habits that you did build and cultivate. And maybe it was hard to build those things in the very first place. And now you just lost them. Now you got to start back at ground zero once your injury is done with. So when you are injured, whether that is, a broken toe or a knee surgery or whatever's going on with you, it could be a cosmetic thing, right? still control your nutrition during that time, and then get back on track as fast as you can with it. Now, if it's an actual injury, I'm always going to recommend, who's your team that's going to help you get recovered? Is it something where a chiropractor can help you? Is it something where a massage therapist can help you? Is it something you need PT for? Something I always recommend is if you have an injury or an issue and you have a doctor that is prescribing you or that will potentially prescribe you physical therapy, take advantage of that. If your insurance is going to pay for that, take advantage of every single session they're going to give you. And then whatever you did to get better, keep doing that shit afterwards. So, I've had knee surgeries before. I still do a lot of those rehab exercises either within my workouts or pre-workout as a way to maintain that knee health and maintain that same balance and stuff like that. So with injuries, all the same stuff, it still applies. Still control your nutrition, still control your sleep and your supplementation, because that's when those things are going to help you recover a whole lot faster. And there's other methods as well, depending on what the situation is and what can help you recover a lot faster. And one other thing to mention before we sign off for the night, I had recently, about a year ago, I had this couple that signed up with me, and they've struggled. They've had good moments here or there, but I mean, they're simple things like just drinking water has been a challenge to make that a consistent thing. And one thing that I tell them every single time we hop on a call and discuss things and how things are going is I'm proud of them for staying communicative. Like, they're always welcome, even if they've been absolutely just shit in the bed and not doing anything positive for themselves and not doing the things I'm asking them to do. They're still able to hop on a phone call, not just over messaging, but hop on a phone call and explain that and then hear my feedback. And the fact that we've been able to keep that conversation going, they just ran through the flush about a month ago, and they stuck with the flush. They did amazing, right? They were both drinking an abundance of caffeine before that flush. Now they're both caffeine free and have been since over a month ago. Like, it took us about 11 months to finally get dialed in and really consistent with something. But if they would have stopped that conversation after a month because it was hard, because they were struggling, they would have never got to this point. So because they've continued that check-in process, they've continued the communication process, they've continued to lean into that uncomfortable piece of things, they've gotten to this point where now we're actually seeing progress happen. And if they would have given up initially because things didn't start how they wanted to, things were hard when they first got started, they would have never gotten to this point, and things would have only gotten harder, right? So I'm proud of those people, but that kind of comes back into all this stuff is it's always going to be hard, but it's way harder once you keep quitting on yourself. Got anything else for us, Renee?
No, I think we kind of
Killed it.
on 500 different points like we usually do.
Killed it as always. Friends on
Marcus sent me this message tonight. It was kind of funny. So he goes, I think we're going to talk about this on the Zoom call. 5 to 7 different topics. And I'm like, I think we're going to be on the Zoom call for 5 hours.
Hey, right.
Like, knowing the way we will sit here and ramble or like
Yes.
divert it into little mini different tree branches. I'm like, Marcus.
Well,
I love the intentions. I love the intentions of the variety, but knowing us, we would easily spend like 20 to 30 minutes on each topic.
Good call.
How many times we like dance around in circles. So I just thought it was kind of funny.
Good call. Way to reel me back in. Friends on the call, last chance. You guys have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts on the topic tonight? 5, 4. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week. Renee's check-ins are tomorrow. Mine are on Sundays as always. Have a great rest of you guys this week, and let's keep kicking ass. We are on the back 9 of the year.
Dude, August is flying by already too.
I know. It's about to be September. We're about to have what is that? 5 months left? 4 months left? 4 months left.
It was just June yesterday.
Yeah, that's crazy. 19. Yeah. Crazy stuff. All right, guys. Have a great week.
Bye.
Thank you.